A reading from Exodus chapter 20, verses 1 through 4, verses 7 through 9, and verses 12 through 20. Then the Lord spoke all these words. I am the Lord your God, whom brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourselves an idol, whether in the form of anything that is in heaven above, or that is on earth below, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not make wrongful use of the name of the Lord your God, for the Lord will not acquit anyone who misuses his name. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work. Honor your father and your mother, so that your days may be long in the land that the Lord has given you. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or male or female slave, or ox or donkey, or anything else that belongs to your neighbor. When all the people witnessed the thunder and lightning, the sound of the trumpet, and the mountain smoking, they were afraid, and trembled and stood at a distance, and said to Moses, You speak to us, and we will listen, but do not let God speak to us, or we will die. Moses said to the people, Do not be afraid, for God has come only to test you, and to put the fear of him upon you, so that you do not sin. Family holidays feel like yet another victim of our politically polarized moment. I don't have solid data on this, but the anecdotal evidence seems telling. In my personal life, I hear of more people not going home for the holidays, or having extreme anxiety around the thought of going home. In my online life, I see more articles about how to survive the holidays, or how to create alternative family-free holidays. The faith-based Super Bowl ads from this year offered a counter-narrative of how Jesus didn't give up on you, so you shouldn't give up on family. Some of this can be explained by better recognition of generational trauma, the lingering effects of the pandemic, and the increased nightmare of holiday travel. However, I sense something more fundamental. People either don't gather or dread gathering because the poison within our body politic has infected the family. We fear the toxic discourse from our father who is taken to wear the red hat, or our niece who has become a devout communist. We will travel hundreds of miles or thousands of miles to be put on trial and harshly judged. Our modern political discourse no longer solely deals with opinions or worldviews, but with fundamental aspects of identity. In our theoretically joyous holiday time, we don't want to enter an environment where that identity will be attacked or litigated. There's a facile argument that the instruction to honor your mother and father means that the younger generation should just deal with it and show up. The Ten Commandments do place a key role on maintaining family harmony on children, and in the culture that originally received the Decalogue, they would not have seen that responsibility as ending with adulthood. The traditional way of living for the Hebrew people consisted of living in larger family units run by the eldest male relative. So, until their father's death, adult male offspring and adult female unmarried offspring would have lived within their father's house. Recognizing the key leadership role of one's father and mother would have taken up a huge percentage of the average Hebrew's time in this realm of existence. Even if we no longer live in these broader family units, the commandments place special emphasis on how we approach our families. It says in verse 12, Honor your father and your mother, so that your days may be long in the land that the Lord your God is giving you. However, the Ten Commandments have a far deeper divine logic than just kids having a forever role to deal with whatever their parents will dish out. More than 50% of the commandments deal with how we treat others. Murder, lying, adultery, theft, and coveting find themselves equally out of bounds with disrespecting a parent. For each of these, God bans them because, in their own way, they disrupt the harmony of a community. Murdering, Giving false legal testimony against or stealing from your neighbor obviously creates discord. Adultery generally doesn't increase harmony either, but also, in the ancient world especially, it messes up inheritance, further risking the community's cohesion and future survival. Desiring someone else's stuff allows a psychological element of discord to enter. You have a muddier emotional relationship with another because jealousy clouds how you look at them. In part, you only see the stuff you don't have. By writing these into this headliner law, God elevates community harmony to a cosmic level of significance. If you internalize no other part of the law, God wants you to know that you love God and that you feed into the positive life of a community. Thus, a broader, deeper read of the Ten Commandments burdens all of us with creating harmony. When applied to the holidays, with national unity being put through the paper shredder, I don't think this means reverting to an old-school forced silence and politeness. That's just passive aggression made socially acceptable. We cannot create joyous holidays with a "no politics at the dinner table" or "for God's sakes take off that hat" rule. God did not intend family and community to be something we merely survive or walk away from feeling like we dodged the worst of it. Instead, the Ten Commandments challenge each of us to reinforce the sacred bonds that connect us. God tasks us with figuring out what exactly that means. Even if what divides us feels like it goes to the heart of our identity, the nature of God and humanity means that so many more things still connect us. God is love. Therefore, we too can transcend the politics of the moment if we so choose. On a more practical level, maybe don't talk about who or isn't president, and instead find ways to honor the humanity of all at the table. For each person and family, it may be different, but on some innate level, we know each other. We can figure it out if everyone sees their role in it. I attend more funerals than the average 37-year-old. I get to observe many families deal with that particular strain, and it goes one of two ways usually. A family either comes together or gets torn apart. The ones that come together focus on the memories and connection. The ones that fly apart focus on old wounds, money, pecking orders, and money. All families have the same pressures in that moment. What determines the outcome is how a family chooses to approach the situation. Do we all live into our God-given imperative to strengthen the bonds of community, or do we give into the spirit of the age? I know how it feels out there, but we've always had that choice.